T, a U, a hell of a hullabaloo. Welcome to Wave Watch. I want to kick things off today, first and foremost, by introducing myself, the Patty B. We've got Dave Rainey. We've got Pat Harkness. What is your username on Twitter? I just realized I don't know that.
I think it roll that wave. Roll that wave.
Roll that wave.
I just got it last year. I'm still getting used to it.
It's phenomenal. I love it. I thought it was something Tulane related. We got a lot of topics for you guys today. Obviously, we'll recap the UL game. We got USF coming up. Ton of stuff to talk about. Obviously, there's some Pac-12 stuff out there. Some real things going on. We got dogs barking in the background. It's totally fine. We're all human. But I did want to mention one thing. One thing I'm thankful for. I know we normally save the lanyap until the end, and we will definitely still do that. But the one thing I'm thankful for today is the Fear the Wave Collective, because they don't let starting quarterbacks randomly decide that they're going to leave the school and go somewhere else.
Well, you took my lanyap topic.
Yep. And their running back decided to leave too. And then one of USC's defensive linemen just said today he's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, we'll revisit that at the end, because that was my lanyap topic.
That's totally fine. We can get into that at the end. Dave has a good little just setup of how we're going to run through things today. So I'll pass it to him. We'll let him kind of guide the ship, but obviously we're all going to bounce in. Maybe one of us says something and we just start talking. So we'll let it go. We'll get this thing started.
Yeah. Well, news came down the other day. Last time we talked, we were talking the Pac-12 rumors were swirling about Tulane and a few other teams from the AAC going there. Turns out they decided to stay. Was that yesterday or day before, whatever that was? So just give me your initial thoughts on sticking with the AAC. You don't have to, go too in the weeds for it. Just general feelings about, I guess, the outlook of the future.
Yeah. You want me to jump in? I'll go first.
Go ahead.
To be honest, my very initial thoughts, I was bummed. I said, oh no, here we go again. It was like we fumbled the opportunity to join a better conference. You knew my personal opinion is that was a step up, and it felt like, hey, you need to be moving up. You're only kept there until 2030. I was reading all these things online about rumors and things. So maybe none of it was true. Who knows what the facts were. But after seeing some of the things come out and what reporters are saying about what was offered, seeing what's happening right now with the Pac-12 and the Mountain West with the lawsuits and whatnot, I think they may have dodged a bullet. So feel a lot better today than I did a couple days ago. Still very curious to see what Tulane is going to do in the future. Obviously, your hope is that you can move into a better conference. Like the American Conference has been great for you, but I think long term, obviously, you got to be looking somewhere else. So that's where I am now. It's kind of a wait and see, but much better than prior.
Yeah, I feel like the commissioner of the Pac-12 fumbled it.
Yeah.
I was hearing all these things about they lowballed Tulane, Memphis, USF, UTSA, whoever else was involved. I just feel like the Pac-12, they fumbled it. And then now the whole Mountain West thing. And then I feel like Tulane, Memphis, USF, UTSA, I feel like they made the decision. Just wait and see, because the ACC is going to have a mass exodus between Florida State, who's going to get AAU accredited, which is, I feel like they're going to go to the Big Ten. Because I know the SEC doesn't want to double up with teams in the same state. So I know Florida State, I think they're going to go to the Big Ten. I know North Carolina, Virginia is getting a lot of reports going to the SEC. So there's going to be a mass exodus of good teams leaving the ACC. And then that's where I feel like the ACC is going to come back to the American and be like, hey, we're not going to lowball you. Jump on it. We'll see.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Initially, I was bummed out. I was really excited about Tulane After Dark. I'm not going to lie to you. I was excited for 10 o'clock Tulane kickoffs. But that aside, I think Patty's right. They definitely seem to have dodged a bullet. We'll see what the future holds.
One more thought as I'm sitting here listening to, I remember thinking after the news came out, it was very eerily similar. Like when everybody stood strong with the AAC, right? Everybody announced at the same time, hey, we're all staying. Here's why. It was very similar to what happened with Pac-12 last year, where all the teams all of a sudden were like, you know what, we're not leaving. We're all staying. Here's why. So I say that to say there still could be things that happen, right? Like, who knows? It's only real until it's real. And right now it's real, but it could not be real tomorrow. So it's college football, and it changes quickly as far as the conferences go. So who knows?
I mean, as long as Tulane produces and keeps being good, someone will call. Someone will definitely call. I mean, the whole entire conference realignment is changing every year. And as long as they're keeping up with football or even basketball, someone's going to call as long as they're good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. College football in 2024, as we all know, is a wild, wild place. Let's talk about the UL game briefly. Tulane gets back on track after a 2-game losing streak. What are your biggest takeaways from the UL game, other than it might have been the hottest place on the face of the earth? On Saturday? You know what? I'll take that back. Second hottest place to LSU, because that place was even hotter.
What was the readings at LSU? I didn't look too much into it, other than seeing there was like 70 people brought to the medicals.
Yeah, it had to be hotter. It was just a hotter point of the day, so I imagine it was a little bit hotter. But yeah,
I'll say this for anyone that doesn't know by now, it's been all over Twitter, obviously, and we have talked about it, and other people who were there have talked about it. I think the field reading at one point got up into the 140s. I had saw 138, but somebody said it was up into the 140s. It was hot. Okay, we'll start with that. I'll take that. I'm gonna flip it. You asked my biggest takeaway. Mekhi freaking Hughes. I mean, good Lord. Like I said going into the game, it had to be his game, and it was his game. Little did I know he was also sick going into the game. But dropping $166, I think it was. When you're sick, it's 138 degrees at least from what I saw on that turf, and you're hitting the turf repeatedly. Good God. Like, just, what a maniac. Kudos.
I saw one of his runs. Yeah, I saw one of his runs. He broke like 3 tackles. I'm like, how was that guy sick? Like, he broke a tackle, broke another tackle, stiffed someone down, like did a little spin move out of it. I think it was like in the first quarter, like a 30-yard run. I'm like, how was that guy sick? He didn't look sick at all.
Yeah. I think. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just gonna say, you kind of gave a positive takeaway. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go a little bit more negative here. Not super negative. I'm throwing week 1 out when I say this. I think we've still yet to see 2 solid halves from the defense in any of the last 3 games, and it's a little bit concerning to me at this point. We see that they can do it, right? Because they have a half in each game where they just shut a team down. But I'm starting to get a little concerned about the defense, specifically the defensive line. I thought they'd dominate a little more, especially against maybe not against Oklahoma and Kansas State, but against UL, I expected a little more.
Yeah. With UL, they do have a great offensive line, and you got to admit it. Ben Woolridge, he was hurt the past 2 seasons. This dude should not be playing for UL. He should be playing somewhere else on a better team. He is a good quarterback. But yes, I agree. The D line has been underperforming, but I feel like there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. You can see the pressure getting there, but just they weren't getting home and making that last little effort to get it. But I feel like we might start finally seeing this defensive line come to life. I hope, at least, but I think we're starting to see something.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all don't have any more to say like about UL, that does kind of transition into USF, because they also have a running quarterback who's probably a little bit better running than Woodridge was. That's what he's known for, Byron Brown. Is that a concern to you that we just saw?
Yeah.
Woodridge, I wouldn't say made a big, had a huge impact with his legs as far as like actually running, but he was able to escape the pressures like you're talking about. And Byron Brown's even better.
Well, I mean, going back to Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold, no one's expecting him to use his feet, and look what he did. He's the main reason, why they pulled away there. But this dude is more of a running back than he is a quarterback. He's not that great passing the ball. He does have 702 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, but his completion percentage is only 57.9. He is 1 for 9 on deep passes over 20 yards. So, like, as long as Tulane can pull ahead in this game and make force them to throw the ball, I feel like they're going to be fine. But it's a very up-tempo, spread option offense. There's going to be a lot of fakes, a lot of giving it to the running back, a lot of him faking it, running it. Their defense needs to read very well in this game. But, yeah, he's going to be their whole offense, and that will lead into other things. But if you guys have anything else to say.
Yeah, for sure. I think discipline is going to be the first thing, right? Like you have to stay in your gaps. You're going to have to keep, containment, all these boring things that people talk about with with defense, but that stuff's going to matter against a running quarterback who, even if he can't throw, if he can get outside the pocket or just create a little bit with his legs, people are going to get open. It's hard to cover for 10, 15 seconds. Well, that's a long time. 5-10 seconds. It's hard to cover for that long. So, yeah. One thing that I'm intrigued by with this USF team, obviously, Dave, you are a little closer to them than I am, having just watched them against your Miami Hurricanes last week. They're 2-2. Their 2 losses are against 2 bad teams, or their 2 losses are against 2 good teams, and their 2 wins are against 2 bad teams. So I literally have no read as to what to expect against a team like Tulane, who I think is rather good, but obviously not probably on the level of Miami or Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compare, Tulane to Miami's offense, but there are some similarities. Miami was able to kill them through the air. I mean, Cam Ward is the guy in college football right now at quarterback position. Now, Miami's receivers, they may be what with Tulane's receivers. Cam Ward is making them look a little better, but as somebody who really knows that receiving core, Mario and Yulkeith are right there with them. Miami wanted Yulkeith, bro. He was one of their top recruits, so he's there with them. So while Mensah may not be Cam Ward, he does have some similarities to Cam Ward. So I could see them still being able to shred them through the air. They also gave up a ton of yards on the ground, though. And for the rest of the year, for me, as much as I love Darian Mensah, we talked about this, Patty, before the UL game. You just ride Mekhi. You ride Mekhi. Shotty was out last week with a concussion. Hopefully he's back. I'd like to see – I think we keep hammering that too. I'd like to see him get more involved. Take some of that. Mekhi's on fire, but take some of that off of him. He doesn't need all those carries. I'm just riding Mekhi no matter what. And until they stop him, and then even Ty Thompson, he keeps every time they do that tsunami package, it seems to be five yards a carry. Yeah. So I'm going with the ground game and making them stop Mekhi. And then when Darian has to make a play, let him go do that because we've seen him be able to. But stop trying to force it through the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Darian's been interesting to me because it's almost like it took him a whole half to settle in against UL. In the second half, they didn't really need him to do anything. But he definitely looked a lot better, and they were just riding hot hand at that point. I'm intrigued to see how he performs in this game against USF, who ideally he should be able to perform against. I would prefer them to just ride Mekhi or really any of the running backs. They've got a good slate of them all, as you mentioned, Shotty. The freshman who I can't, his name slipped me right now, who got in a little bit last week, looked phenomenal. Obviously, Arnie Barnes is great.
Cornice.
Yeah, Cornice.
Trey Cornice. Cornice looked good. I really enjoyed watching him. And Barnes seems to kind of be struggling a little bit, finding a hole or something. He's always had fumble issues. But Cornice, I think he needs to get more touches if Shotty's not ready to go.
Cornice should have had a touchdown. We were on the sideline right there, and they got on him a little bit for not scoring on that play.
I think Fat Watts was walking away after he noticed him cut back. He's like, I guess he didn't want to score. He just didn't want to score. So it was fun. Good time for that.
Yeah, you got who I know you said you had some key players this week. Pat.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about the defense of USF, they have 4 different linebackers. I know one of them is kind of a little quiz here. Do you guys remember Rodney Hill by chance?
Yeah.
He was a former 2 commit, and now he's a true freshman at USF linebacker. He's been getting there rotationally. He's got 11 tackles on the year. But their key linebacker, Jalen Schuler, he had 97 tackles last year. He's supposed to be their main linebacker. He's been hurt for the past 2 or 3 games, and I think I just saw on Twitter today that he's going to be ready to go. And then Mac Harris has been filling in for him. He leads the team with 24 tackles right now. But they got 4 different linebackers who can come in and play. Their D-line, they only have, it seems like 2 guys have been playing decent, EJ Harris and Decarius Hawthorne. But their secondary was very transfer-driven. They got Brent Austin. He has an interception, 4 pass deflections. He came from James Madison. And then they also have DeMarco Augustine. He came from Youngstown. He has an interception playing at safety. I believe the strength is going to be the linebackers, especially if Jalen's back, and then their secondary. The secondary seems pretty good. They seem a lot better than last year. Last year, they're kind of all over the place defensively, but this year they seem to be shoring it up. Miami says otherwise, but it seems like they're trying to shore things up there. But Brett Austin is their main corner. He's second on the team in tackles with 22. He's got interception as well. I don't know if I said that already, but it's good defense. It's a 3-3-5 tight. It's kind of similar to Tulane's. I've been watching some of it. They got one of their defensive ends standing up a lot. I noticed they went a couple 3-4s as well. So we'll see how it goes. But, I mean, you have all the faith in our wide receiver core. And Menza was like, Jake the Snake Plumber back there against UL. Just getting out of that pocket. And, I mean, he looks like granted, Oklahoma and UL first half not great, but he settled in. So let's see if we can get all 4 quarters out of that. It's gonna be a good one, another exciting one.
Yeah, as far as our offense goes, we kind of talked about it a little bit. We mentioned Byron Brown. That's the quarterback. He's the key. Outside of that, I know you mentioned they had a few good running backs, but the other guy to worry about is their slot wide receiver, Sean Atkins. He's a walk-on guy. I don't know how else to describe him other than he just makes plays. Like, he's one of these like Wes Welker types that just always seems to be open. So I mean, if you can shut him down, you take away a guy who can't really pass that well. You take away his main option, force him to run, and just go ahead.
This is where we're going to see Caleb Ransaw come in. Like, this is his game, his time to shine, because Atkins is like the wide receiver, probably like the only wide receiver.
Yeah.
So it's Ransaw's time to come in here and show everything that he's got. That's why we brought him over from Troy. That's why he almost. I mean, he's up for the NFL draft next year. I mean, he's probably going to be a top 5 nickel corner in the draft. So this is his time to shine. And then as you're going back they have 3 running backs. Kelly Joyner's the main guy, 251 yards, averaging 7 yards carry, and then 4 touchdowns. Naquan Wright, 199 yards, 5.1 average, 2 touchdowns, and then Tyron Keith. He's more of a receiving back coming out of there. He came over from Bowling Green. He's got 73 yards catching. But yeah, it's. I mean, they don't really have a whole lot on offense. I know they got 4 returning starters in O-line, but what do you guys got for it?
No, I'm not too concerned about their passing game. Outside, not even just because of the quarterback. I think the secondary has been the strength of Tulane's defense. Bailey's been all over the place, Slim, every game. Dude is all over the field. He seems like he's in on every tackle. You mentioned Ranshaw. I don't really know if you put him in. He plays that weird role, right? Whatever they call it, that Joker role. I don't know what Tulane calls it. Yeah,
Spear. Slightly different. Same thing though.
Chen Chu had an interception last week. He's looked good.
Stud alert.
So I'm not super concerned about the passing game in this game. Patty, you got anything else on this, or you want to kind of move on?
No, not really. To be honest, I'm sure something will come to me, and I'll regret not saying anything. But I'm good for now. We can move on.
Yeah. So let's talk about this game. Let's kind of just look at the future, the rest of the season, where things stand. That's something I like to do in my immediate reaction things, is kind of show how, where they stand as far as Group of 5, AAC. We didn't get to do an immediate reaction because we were dying. So we'll kind of do that here. Right now, Memphis was ahead. They drop a game to Navy, so they're no longer in the lead. So that might kind of ruin your chances at having a ranked opponent on the schedule anymore.
Does that ruin the playoff chances? Do you think?
That's what I'm wondering. It's weird because it kind of helps your AAC chances, right? Yeah, and you have to win the AAC to get in the playoff. Like, there's no chance if you don't do that. But if you don't have a solid win on your schedule, which it doesn't mean Memphis is a bad team, right? That they lost to Navy.
No.
Navy's just a really good team. I don't know. So where do y'all, as far as the standings go, the rest of the season, where are your hopes as far as AAC championship and college football playoff? Because I kind of got killed for saying their playoff hopes were down the drain a couple weeks ago.
Pat, I'll let you start.
Oh, I mean, yeah, with Memphis losing, you needed Memphis to go undefeated, and then Memphis be ranked in the season. You beat Memphis, and then you play Memphis again, and then you beat them again, and then you still have Boise State, UNLV. I don't know what's going on with them, so just brush them aside. It's basically going to come down to, I think, Boise State and the AAC champion. It really hurts their chances with Memphis blowing that game. I'm not quite sure how they're going to get in. You need help. You need help from Boise State losing a couple games. I mean, I still think they could go to the AAC championship, win the AAC championship. It's going to be hard getting in. They need help with Memphis losing the Navy.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I was trying to see just who technically is above Tulane right now, right? As far as a Group of 5 team, you got UNLV, not worried about them anymore. And basically Boise State, like the other ones are going to be AAC teams. You got Liberty in the Conference USA, which I think you can leapfrog if you play well enough, unless they go undefeated and then, you're screwed. I don't know what their record is right now, but I think you're pretty spot on. I think there's still an outside chance. You just need some things to fall your way. But then you're going to end up backing in and it's not going to feel right. It's going to be icky. So yeah, I think for me, my expectation, because that's the main question here, right? I said it last week, you win the AAC. Like that's your goal. That's what you go do. And that's a success if you do that. And then you let everything fall where it falls.
Yeah, Navy has Notre Dame on the schedule. So if Navy can upset Notre Dame and they stay undefeated by the time they play Tulane, there's a small chance that they're ranked, like in the back, at the end of the top 25. And even if they're not, that becomes a solid win. If they upset Notre Dame and, they keep winning, that'd be a huge win. And then you follow that up by beating Memphis at the end, and then you win the AAC. That's probably your best bet at this point as far as playoffs go. We're in a weird spot because we have to pull for these teams to just keep winning. And you need Boise to lose.
Yeah, and then if Kansas State keeps winning, that helps the resume because they should have beat Kansas State, but
didn't Kansas State drop a game?
Oh, they lose?
They lost to BYU, I think. Yes.
Oh, that's right. Well, then that goes their chances, and then I'd say Oklahoma, but the scoreboard doesn't really. It was 34-19 on that one. So
Oklahoma's not a great football team.
As long as Tulane performs and just kicks teams' asses, it's going to show up. It's going to show up. As long as they perform well and do good and play above and beyond, they're going to look at the resume and like, look, this team's dominated AAC. Yep. And hopefully that'll help too if Boise State, wins out.
Yeah. And I'll keep saying this. Like we said this, I think maybe week 1. This season is it's all about the future beyond this season. Like this is John Sumrall's first year. To win the AAC in a transition year, like it started in the offseason, to have the class that he had as far as recruiting, as far as getting these transfers, the level of transfers he got in a transition year was impressive. To win the AAC in that year is even more impressive. Like, even though the expectation might have been there for them, that's still impressive. And if they do that, even if you don't get to the playoffs, like that's fine. It's still a successful season. And like you can make I know Patty had said, maybe it's a little bit of a disappointment if they don't win the AAC, but it could still be a successful season without winning the AAC, in my opinion, as long as it doesn't fall off the rails.
Yeah, and you got a quarterback of the future.
Right, and that was the other thing.
And then you got 35 new transfers coming on this team. So, you can tell 8 of them were late transfers, like Aiden Hutchinson. You had Terrell Allen, and then a lot of these guys were on the defensive line. I feel like that's why we're not seeing the cohesion we see yet with this D line, and I feel like now things are going to start clicking. We're getting into conference play. We got 3 games under their belt. Or 4 games, sorry, and then we're gonna start seeing this thing go, and then hopefully the penalties can get cut back too, because they're averaging 8-9 penalties a game. Finally, the offensive line stopped holding and false starting. It's more of the defensive pass interference. I saw 4 of them. One of them really, like Rayshawn Pleasant, the first, that was a stupid call. The other ones were like, okay, yeah, I could see it, but like now it's just discipline and just getting things rolling. I feel like.
Yeah, we talked about the pass interference stuff in the game. I forgot all about that until you just brought it up, to be honest, because that's how little it I feel impacted. Like obviously it had an impact on the game. I mean, UL had a lot of. I don't think they had they had like one real third down conversion in the whole game. So a lot of them were on defensive pass interference. But if you look back at them, I mean, whether they're questionable or not, like the defensive back has never turned around looking for the ball. They're in bad position. There's a little bit of contact there. 99% of the time, that's going to be a penalty. So,
yeah,
you got to clean that up.
You got anything else? That was really all we had written down, all we wanted to talk about before we get into our little lanyap section. Did anything else come to you, Patty?
Yeah.
No, I kind of already touched on it, but coming into this week, I'm most intrigued about Darian Mensah. I'm just reiterating everything I already said, but I would love to see him come out and just have a game, man. Like, I want to see him be the person that I was sitting here talking up. Obviously, he's a freshman, and there's going to be ups and downs, and he hasn't been bad. Just want him to come drop his nuts. Let's have some fun.
I got a little hot take. Aiden Hutchinson's gonna have 2 sacks.
Hell yeah!
Hutchinson's gonna have 2 sacks this game. Defensive line's gonna wake up.
Good. Sure hope so.
I don't have any hot takes. I don't. You know what? I think this is the Dante Fleming game. I feel like we've been waiting for that. He had a little bit of a showing in Oklahoma, but all the reports in the offseason were like he was Mensah's number 1 guy. It seemed like, and I feel like we haven't seen it yet. This is the Dante Fleming game. I think that helps Patty get his Mensah game. I want to see that. I want to see him show up this week.
Have we heard anything about Chaz yet, Preston?
I have not.
No.
I feel like I want to say I heard he's close, but I don't remember where I heard it, and I might just be speaking out of my rear. So,
and then Jesus Machado is still a ways away, or is he out for the season?
I don't want to say he's out for the season. I haven't seen, but Machado I don't expect back anytime soon.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's do our lanyap section. Do you have something else, Patty, or was your initial thing?
We just say something he said one more time.
Yeah. Well, that was I'll just give mine because that was what mine was going to be. I was going to say college football 2024 is a wild, wild place. If you haven't seen what's going on with this UNLV situation that Patty mentioned, their quarterback, Matthew Sluka, I believe is his name, just up and decided to not play for them anymore this season. What's true and what's not true is still up in the air, I think, as far as reports go. I don't know who's telling the truth. All I know is I have 2 takeaways from this. Number 1, if it's the scenario where the school promised him X amount of money and they didn't follow through on that, I have no problem with him not playing. Could I give up on my team like that? Probably not. But if you're agreed to be paid $25 an hour to go work somewhere, and 3 weeks into working there, they're still only paying you $5 an hour, you're going to quit. So, if you're promised X amount and not given X amount, fair. College football now is a business. And if you're not getting what you were agreed to, that is what it is. Secondly, like Patty said, makes me super thankful that we have Fear the Wave, because that seems to be the only way NIL works smoothly these days, is if you have a collective that kind of controls it all. So support Fear the Wave, donate to them, and let's keep this thing running smoothly.
Yeah.
What a crazy situation. I mean, like you said, I don't know what's true. Get it in writing, first of all. Whatever you think you should have.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a check right in front of you.
Yeah, just insanity. I mean, I never would have thought I would see that happen. But hey, kudos. If you're not getting paid what you thought you were going to get paid, you got to be a man sometimes. I don't know, be a man.
Can you imagine being a UNLV fan and like waking up and seeing your quarterback just like, please, I'm out.
That's crazy.
Listen, I'm super intrigued by it, to be honest, because I'm interested to see what happens to him going forward. Like, is some other team gonna want him? Knowing that,
there's so much that goes into it. And then even the story at UNLV, right? Like whether you believe him or not, the fact that the running back now all of a sudden is also transferring, I haven't heard anything about him or why.
He says it's not NIL related. He says it was an opportunities thing. Basically, he was guaranteed playing time, and he's not getting it, is what I read into it. But he specifically said it's not NIL related. But it is odd timing that they both got to do it. And then Bear Alexander, you mentioned USC defensive lineman. That's who that is. He also is just randomly redshirting. That dude was like one of the top recruits in his class. So it's a lot of weird things just happening. This isn't the last time we're going to see this happen.
Oh, no. I feel like it's going to start happening now that these three have done it.
Yep. It definitely sets the precedent, especially with the NIL stuff going on. I mean, like, guys can just redshirt now and be like, well, I'm not getting what I want. I'm going to redshirt and I'm going to transfer. And I mean, this transfer portal is really changing. Transfer portal and NIL, we said this before we even had Wave Watch, and we were just doing Who Effing Knows. It has changed college football, and it's going to continue to change. And we just got to buckle up and figure it out.
Yep. Yeah.
Once again, shout out to Fear the Wave Collective, because they're 3 steps ahead of this stuff. I have no idea.
It's crazy because he's like, go ahead, Pat.
I was just going to say, I saw a funny thing on Twitter. It just showed now college football 25. You say college football 25 is unrealistic. And it said brand exposure B+ needed. Right. And then there's that B-, and then he's out.
The deal breaker 3 games.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep, like, I didn't know who this guy was, to be honest. Like, I knew UNLV was good this year. I couldn't have told you who their starting quarterback was, but I'm definitely gonna follow it now because, like, if you look at his stats, like, he's a 50% passer. Like, he's not even like Darian Mensah's level, right? Where if Mensah left, he's shown enough where people are gonna take him. It's like we see it in the NFL. Teams will take a certain amount of garbage if somebody has the talent. If you're just like a 50% passer, you might be going to FCS, and you kind of just screwed yourself over. It's weird though, because, like, I don't know, man. If you're a college kid and somebody offers you or tells you they're going to give you a bunch of money, that might be your biggest chance at that money. So I can't hate on you for doing that. Roddy White was kind of crapping on him because he's like, you're going to do this over 100K. And, like, I can't stand Roddy White. But, like, you can't be in the position of a former NFL player that got some money crapping on a college kid for passing up on 100K. Like, come on.
Not a lot of UNLV quarterbacks making it to the league.
Yeah.
Let him make his
money. Not a lot of UNLV players, period, making it to the league. So, come on. But, Pat, you got anything else you wanted to talk about?
What did you say? Me or you?
I don't know. You're Pat. Pat. We're gonna go.
Yeah, I refer to you. Sorry, I refer to you as Pat and him as Patty.
Okay. Just show up to the game. I want a sellout crowd. I want that stadium screaming, hollering, yelling. I want everyone to be there, all 30,000 people. I can't make it. I'm going offshore tomorrow morning, and then hopefully I'll be able to watch it. Last time I was watching it on my phone on ESPN Gamecast, so it's just like a little field and lines and then words. Menzo runs this, that, and I'm like, hopefully I'll be able to watch it, but I want that stadium filled out. Everyone's screaming and yelling.
Absolutely. Another 11 a.m. kickoff, so stay hydrated. Listen, and I pray Yeoman doesn't run out of water like Cajun Field did, but just stay hydrated. That's my advice. Patty will be there.
Yeah. I will be there. I will be there. And we're actually giving away tickets as well. So if you are thinking, oh, I can't go because I can't afford it, you're lying. You're BSing. Follow us. Subscribe on YouTube, and you have an opportunity to win tickets. Also, Fear the Wave gives away tickets. There's a few groups that are constantly giving away tickets. Just follow Twitter somewhere. Somebody's dropping tickets. You can get in there. I had something else that was on my mind. I forget what I was going to say. The 11 a.m. starts. Oh, did you know that Tulane has coconut turf? Apparently, it keeps it cooler. News to me.
I learned that from Maddie this week.
Yeah. I had no idea. So the smell of the burning rubber from UL is still in my nose, by the way. It was awful. It was that hot. And that was going to be my lanyap. I know that was going to be your lanyap. We can go back into it. It was the hottest I have ever been in my entire life. And I'm thankful that I'm somewhat in shape and I was somewhat hydrated. I mean, we had drinks the night before, because turning around and looking in that crowd and seeing people literally on gurneys, seeing old men when I'm walking around up in the corridor and there's no shade anywhere, it was scary, you know? Yeah, it was crazy. It was wild. That's all
I will say. That's a little. Yeoman does have a little bit of a more benefit. They have a lot of cover that you can get out of the sun. at Yeoman. Cajun Field did not have that. Granted, they did have a lot of construction going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're building up half the stadium. So, like, I don't want to feel like I'm crapping on their stadium because I know they have that going on. Yeah. It was just I don't know that there was anything anybody could have did about it, to be honest with you. They had, shout out to them, they did have a free hydration station set up.
Mm-hmm. They had sunscreen stations.
They had sunscreen stations. Like, we clearly did not use them. But yeah, man, that was one of the hottest things I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
That turf, I will smell that burning rubber forever. Like, I don't know how the players survived it. I'll be honest with you. I was dying. I don't know how they survived it.
Yeah, well, and that's why I was talking about Mekhi Hughes the way I was earlier as well, with him being sick. I'll tell you, man, when there were, I think, Preston, if you saw him tweet, Maddie was talking about it. Anytime somebody took a knee on that turf, it was hot. You were jumping right back up. It wasn't like you could bear it for a couple of seconds. So for people getting tackled on that stuff and popping right back up and doing it all over again,
I knelt down and touched it for 2 seconds, and I was like, nope, can't do that. I told y'all, I'll tell this story real quick and we can wrap it up. I once went to Miami when I was like 18 years old, and we played in a flag football tournament there, and Miami is just as hot as here. It was the middle of summertime. A dude was wearing rubber cleats on the same kind of turf. I watched his cleats melt to the turf.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nowadays, like, there's like the plastic cleats, right? Like all these Nike cleats and stuff, Adidas cleats, they're all plastic cleats, so it's not the same. Back then, rubber was like all there was. And I watched the dude's cleats melt to the ground, and that's exactly how hot it was here. Like, it was nuts. Maddie made a good point where if you rewatch the game, you must do it in front of an oven to get the full experience. So that's all I got.
That's it. Me too. Cool. Any last thoughts, Pat?
Thanks for having me on, guys. It was a blast again, and hopefully I'll be back for the next home game. Well, I'd like to catch at least another home game, but work's kind of got me going right now. I had to come in for the Hurricane and going right back out, and hopefully I'll be able to watch it. And then good luck to you guys. Hopefully it's not too hot, and stay hydrated. Thanks again.
Well, I was going to say, we are playing South Florida, and the Hurricane is heading in that direction.
Yeah.
So if you're a South Florida person watching this, stay safe. Yeah. Get out of there. Do what you got to do. You're no stranger to hurricanes, but prayers to everybody that's going to get hit by that, because it's a big one.
Yeah, Dave. I was going to end it with the roll wave, and I feel like that's not appropriate now. We'll just go Tulane.
Nope. There you go. Yeah.